Roundtable.
Hey guys, what's going on today?
Hey Brandon, what the hell's going on?
Hey fellas. Welcome to another episode of the Bar Podcast.
Yeah.
Your host, Brandon Leum. How y'all doing today?
man,
Mike, how are you
right.
doing back there? I got like great vision of you. Huh?
Loving life.
You're loving life. Now you're all quiet. You were just all over the mic a minute ago.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining in. We appreciate all the guests today. We appreciate everybody listening in. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this for a year now. Right, Clark?
Yeah, man. That
Pretty
seems-
crazy.
it's-
Clark A.
Clark A.
Yeah.
You don't have your Clark A shirt
It's
on.
only been a year. I haven't even known you guys really a year yet. That's
Not
that
quite.
blows
Not
my
quite a
fucking
year.
mind.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, a year ago or more than that, maybe a year and a half ago, we were trying to figure out a podcast. Now we're talking about gain and take a little out here, add a little there.
Yeah.
Right, Tommy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We haven't even known Tommy a year,
What's that?
but we've spent some good time together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, no, we're super excited about this. We've been talking about it for a little while, and we thought it'd be a great idea to kind of do a roundtable to not only talk about the year, but talk a little bit about the topics that we've talked about, the stories that we've heard from various different people throughout the year. We got a couple of veterans on the set today, so we appreciate that. Jonathan, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my man. We just met each other not too long ago, too, and look, now you're hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. I do
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Josh Martini,
Thank you.
otherwise known as Josh James.
That's right.
I call him Josh James, but it's Josh Martini.
What episode number was he? I can't remember.
You were, hold on, give me 2 seconds here. I cannot remember this.
He was in the transition of us
Got it
moving.
right here. Episode number 11
Nice.
aired in July.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. So, well, for those that are listening in anyways, we appreciate you. You can check us out on our website at buildingarefuge.org and get out and like us on all the social media sites, right? I mean, all the TikTok, Twitters,
All
Facebooks, all that jazz, right? You can find it's really easy. Just type in Building a Refuge and you're going to find us because there's nobody like us.
One of a kind.
Right.
There's nobody like us, right?
Yeah. Speaking of nobody like us,
Yeah.
we have our other guest, Tommy Baldwin.
Tommy Baldwin,
Yes.
the melt your face young man,
Man.
otherwise known as Terrence Baldwin.
Tyler.
Tyler Baldwin. He's one hell of a guitar player. He's going to give us a little.
We'll share that story down the road here.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
That's
That
good.
was hilarious.
Tyler Baldwin, how the hell are you doing? My goodness.
I think the wait for that whole night was just right there with
Well, Clark was asleep in the front row.
we all were.
Oh, man, that was slow.
Till
playing.
Tyler Baldwin got up there and lit this place on fire. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, so we appreciate a little bit about us. If this is the first time you're listening to us, God help you anyways. But Building a Refuge is a men's mental health nonprofit that Erik and I started back in 2018. We've had some challenges, but we're rocking now, thankfully, to LDR Studios and this amazing team. Mike back there on the board and Dustin flying around here fixing things for us, which is great. And Clark leading this. Clark's the captain, man.
El Dorado.
I noticed you got a head start on No Shave November, by the way.
Me or
Yeah,
you?
you. Look
Yeah,
at
I'm
you.
trying.
You're already
man.
going.
Already itchy as you know what, but I'm trying to think positive. You grow a good beard, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, I was asking, what do you even grow one?
No, it's bad news. Look at this guy.
Oh, I know.
Jonathan knows what a beard's all about. Well, he dressed up like Santa Claus, so I mean,
Spring break Santa.
Is it Daytona Beach Santa or Panama City?
It's Panama City.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's the raunchy time.
My son was his little elf helper, so
Absolutely.
he did a good job at that. But in all seriousness, man, we hang out on this show. We come to you guys. Our mission is one story at a time to create hope. And I think in this last year, man, we've shared a lot of stories. Almost 28 episodes. Well, 27 episodes, I guess. 26. But there were a couple of...
23.
Did I say 23? 23. Yeah.
I don't know how we counted. We did the
It feels like 27.
we did the pilots, so
Yeah, the
I don't know if we
pilots
counted
probably
those or
right.
not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But we focus on some probably sensitive subjects, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what we try to create is kind of what we're doing here, a little bit more of a lighter environment to allow for some folks just to share and so on and so forth. And we want to say thanks to Dale Speckman. He's a great friend of ours. He was on the show earlier this year as well and shared his personal story with us. And in fact, wrote us an amazing song, which we're going to share with you guys, right, Clark?
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah.
You're going to run that video for him, right?
Yep, we'll play that and then go on to all of our other stuff.
See, I thought that transition was going to be a
That
little
was
bit more
awkward.
like black and white. Like, yeah, we're going to run it right now.
Yeah, we are right here.
That's right.
Welcome to it.
It's going to be on the video monitor board behind us. But yeah, Dale's pretty awesome guy. Met him. You've known Dale way longer than I have.
Yeah.
Josh, you know Dale. Dale's a great musician as well, and he came up with this song, man, like I think it was just overnight. He said he was thinking about us and thinking about kind of what we do, and
Yeah, he had a few people that he was thinking about while he was writing the song, and we came to church on a Sunday morning, and he played it for us.
yeah.
And
We were like, what?
looking like idiots sitting there bawling. And,
Yeah,
and it was,
he got us all crying on the podcast too when he delivered that thing.
That's right.
yeah, he came in studio, played it, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
We
so
appreciate
we
it.
love Dale, man. We appreciate. He was supposed to be in here hanging out with us today, but I think he is in the Sunshine State,
he's on-
enjoying some.
He's on the beach.
He's on the beach right
He's
now.
on the
enjoying
beach.
a
yeah.
beach, enjoying the beach time. So,
Yeah.
but so anyways, we just kicking things off. Just a little bit about I think the November. Clark, we met each other in November almost a year ago. It's not quite been a year. It's coming up,
Yep.
and I think that really, in my opinion, anyways, is really the.
Although when this airs, it will be in the past.
Yeah, it's weird. That is weird, yeah. But just what we do and how you came to us is really, I think, what I would say I hope people get from, checking us out and listening to us, man. Clark found out about us through a friend, and he had the courage to come in, and I thought he was just looking for a Harley Davidson.
Yeah, you got this guy coming in with the beautiful locks that he's got right there, and
you.
Grateful Dead T-shirt. And,
I don't know if it was the beautiful hair or the Grateful Dead shirt that hooked me, but it was something about it.
But the important part about that, I think that interaction was you and I had talked about, because really the building a refuge in the beginning was and will always be more of a grassroots one-on-one.
Yeah.
Building community around guys, and we're like, okay, how do we reach a bigger audience? How do we we know the problem that's out there. How do we reach veterans? How do we reach farmers? How do we reach construction guys? How do we reach these different guys that, for one reason or another, doesn't necessarily want to or can come to our meetings just because geographically or intimidation or whatever it may be. I don't know what those reasons are, but the beautiful thing about our interaction, our intersection with Clark is that this has allowed us not only to sit in this atmosphere and bring great conversation together, but it's also hopefully reach some guys out there who are struggling or know of people who are struggling. And it can kind of cast a wider net. And that's what's so cool about it. And the other thing that's really cool about it is we got a new friend.
We got a new friend.
We got 3, 4, 5 new friends in LDR Studios.
Yeah.
And
Clark, well, let's ask you, man. I mean, what when somebody told you about us, what made you inclined to go, I'm going to go check them out?
Well, I think it was I said in my episode, just losing Adam. I thought I should be doing something to kind of raise awareness or something that would, losing him is messed up shit. But I didn't want to just ignore the fact and sweep it under the rug. It's part of who I am. It's part of my existence. So I thought it was important to, kind of do something where he's never forgotten.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because of my experience.
Yeah. What had you though? Because you and I share, although different purviews, we've said this, right? Different aspects. You and I share losing someone very close to us in our family by suicide. And I tell people I never have felt obligated that I have to do anything, but I think I felt like I don't know, man. I mean, I felt like I just wanted to. I mean, that's probably where you're saying the same thing.
Well, even before I met you guys, I was going out newly single and marketing, networking, this business, people ask you the same kind of question. Are you married? Do you have kids? What do you do for a living? And how old are you? And, I always got to that kids part, and I just decided early on. And I was just going to share the story. And the more I shared, the more other people just sitting, having dinner at Savor or Anthony's would have a similar story, but, suicide or overdose or whatever it may be. And even just going around networking, I was hearing stories. So this seemed like a vehicle, like was already built. I wouldn't have to start it from scratch. And you guys already had it, kind of established. And I think I just helped put a little more horsepower in it.
Yeah, no doubt you did. Yeah. and like Eric said, I mean, we wouldn't met, Dustin and Mike and Tommy and, some of the other folks that come, through the studio. The studio is a great thing. I think you said on your podcast even that, the studio was a lifeboat for you, kind of going through that, that time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah,
it saved my life. It really did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think, I love it. I mean, that's why I think, when we get to hang out here and we get to do things and listen to Tommy jam on, play music for us and, just hang out. I mean, that's the environment that we want to create, you know what I mean? Where it's not intimidating and it's not like overwhelming, you know what I mean? So Jonathan, we've just met each other not too long ago, right, man? What, like, when I told you, however many nights ago it was or whatever, I was like, yeah, come and hang out. Like, why'd you listen to me?
Well, I mean,
because I'm telling you, man, I'm not like any kind of profound dude, man.
Yeah. Biggest thing to me, Mike Stevens was like a big pushing proponent behind, you having that conversation with me. And then really the first time I actually was really introduced to y'all was at that chicken queue, I think.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
barbecue chicken queue.
And if anybody's going to tell me that I'm from Alabama. So if there's anything if there's anything with barbecue and chicken or anything like that or free food or anything going on or whatever, or donations or whatever
And rock and roll.
Absolutely. Rock and roll all day long.
Yeah.
That kind of like, and it was also in a safe space because I'm all about my VFW.
Yep.
I'm really involved with it. So it was also the safe space. And from there, I started to meet a lot of you and what you were doing. And then I kind of went on the website and started kind of really looking at what you're doing. And I was like, man, this is something very similar to what I do. I got a podcast myself.
Yeah, right on.
So, and I do a lot of the mental health type things.
Yeah.
The positive state 76 is what it is.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And I became a life coach and all that other good stuff. So it was right down the same avenue,
Nice.
And so, I mean, I've had some very huge struggles in my life, especially 2017 is like one of my worst years of my entire life. Yeah. So,
well, I'm glad you made it through 2017, man.
Yeah. And here I am and here I sit.
Yeah.
We had the fur baby in here earlier, but I didn't want to make sure he didn't want to mess with anything or start crying or anything.
Yeah, he's cool, man.
So
that's a cool little guy.
You guys are amazing. I like what y'all are doing right now. And I actually feel probably the most comfortable I've felt in a really long time, man, just sitting in here.
Yeah, that's why, hopefully you do, because I mean, we try to create that anyways, you know what I mean?
That's been the goal from day one. Is to have, because a lot of stories we hear are guys they don't want to go to a therapist, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. Our hope is through our partnership with Harley Davidson, our partnership with LDR, is if you need to come and talk to somebody, it's in a relaxed atmosphere. Yeah. So for you to say that validates everything that we are trying to do. So we appreciate you saying that.
And I did like your chili, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man.
Your chili was amazing.
Clark is our champion chili champion anyways. But back to you, Jonathan, you brought up the barbecue, right, and the chicken queue anyways, just as a little bit for folks that are listening in, we do an event kind of bookend each part of the year around mental health. One is in May and one is in September. Our May event really supports National Mental Health Month, Awareness Month, and then September is National Suicide Awareness, Suicide Prevention Day, September 10th. But we really bookend those because those are really I think the anchors for what we're trying to head on anyways. But super cool events, man. The one we got coming up here in 2024 is gonna It's going to be special. We got some big plans for it. And as Erik said, man, Harley Davidson of Indianapolis has been just like a fantastic support of us. They're, they let
amazing people, man.
Yeah, man.
From day
I
one.
love that venue.
Day one, our first event in 2018 till today, and in the future, because they've experienced loss in their Harley family, and in the 2 stores that Dave owns, and it's humbling when you go to somebody and you see the things that they've been through, and then they talk the talk and walk the walk. They have literally rolled out the red carpet for us.
David Dellin, who is the owner of that dealership, and he also has Cannonball Harley down at Terre Haute. Anders, Adam, Savannah, all the team there, man. They're
super cool, man.
They're
And
just
helpful, and
they're like, do whatever you want. We're like, do whatever we want.
Well, and we took them on their word, right? Because this event we got coming up in next year is going to be big. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, so we're super jacked about that. Tommy, you've played that event, man. You rocked it out this year.
No, I was.
I think we might have some video we're going to share with.
we're going to share some of that video. I think we got some in the can somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool stuff.
Thanks, man.
Playing guitar behind the head.
Something like that, One way to play it, right?
And Tommy's been just a joy to have around, man. And along with Dustin and Mike, it's been. Oh, you should.
I love it.
Look at Clark, I love it.
I love it.
I like when he jumps in and then he's like, oh, shit.
I love it.
All right, can we edit that out?
No, we're keeping that in there, man. We're definitely keeping that.
What a year.
It's been
the
beautiful.
community we've been building
Huge
is
blessing.
amazing.
Yeah, huge blessing.
Jonathan, I want to go back and I want to touch on this a minute, and because I want to talk about the little escapade that we all had, which was pretty awesome shit. But you mentioned Mike Stevens. Mike Stevens is a dear friend of mine, friend of yours as well. He is our arm, I would say, resource arm for all of our veterans. And thank you to Josh, and thank you to yourself for serving, man. We're grateful for you guys, man. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know, right? And I'm one of the guys that didn't serve, and so I don't know. And you guys do know.
Little do you know, you got a Jedi over there of the military world.
I lived in a different type of world in the military.
Yes, you
not your normal.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're going to have you on here soon.
That's
so
right.
You'll get to tell your story.
well, I can't tell some of it.
That's all right. You don't have to share all of it.
You share what you want to share.
I think
Well, the VFW's been a good partner as well to you guys.
Yeah.
And
Darren and the whole team there, man.
yeah, they're amazing as well.
Yeah, they're great
Well,
people.
and as we started to open this thing up to, I mean, we always were like whoever, it doesn't matter. But when we started, approaching the VFW and those guys, like same as Harley, man. Like once they understood what we were doing and that we were legit and real, like they just literally just whatever we needed, man. Like I just recently went up to, they had a group ride up north and went up there and they handed us a check and it was just unsolicited, unknown, and they're like, hey, can you come up and grab this? And they were honoring a friend and who took their life. And it's just,
and they met us at that. They met us at the Harley Davidson opening. Opening day.
And that is the idea behind what we're doing. Like when we start these relationships, the hope is that we develop a relationship and we can guide them to our partners, and be that conduit to get them the real help that's needed. And so that's just proven itself time and time again through the connections and the people that we've met. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It is, man. And it's just one of those deals, I think, that, it always kind of comes back to community, right? I mean, that's, we've heard on a lot of our shows, or a lot of our podcasts anyways, different episodes, just how much that part of healing or part of making the first step has been such a big part of it, is having a community around you. You know what I mean? And this community is fantastic, man. I mean, one of the episodes that we did with Kyle Leum, amazing veteran. For those that maybe have not checked it out, you should check it out. He was a part of the Delta Force unit that was a part of Black Hawk Down, and Kyle doesn't really necessarily go into that a whole lot as like, hey, look at me, but more so just everything that he's learned in his experience. You know what I mean? And I think one of the big things that I took away, which is really cool, man, is just have a mission. You know what I mean? Like that's what that's what he really, talked a lot about. And you talked a lot about this on yours, man. You know, there's a time, I think one of the coolest things that you said on your episode, you know, Josh, is there's a time to be savage as fuck, and there's a time to let yourself be vulnerable. And I just think that's super profound in terms of like what we got to do day in and day when we walk outside this door. Right. You know what I mean? There's going to be times when we have to be that, but there's times when if you're struggling, you know what I mean, like to find a friend and open up.
You know, you were talking to the punk rock farmer.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, I think the common, what's being said is like our age, our era. You know, we were talking, John and I were talking about, you know, before even going into the military, being raised in that era, you keep it together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you go into the military or whatever stressful situation and whatever endeavor you're in, and then you got to hold that together.
Yeah.
And then you don't talk about it because you got to be tough. And then finally, you're not tough. You have to, because I was at a conference we talked about yesterday, and it said statistically there's 181,000 veterans that are incarcerated or in prison or the same thing because untreated mental health, because I'm too I don't want to be a burden, or I don't want to talk about it.
181,000.
Yeah, that's a real number right there.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, in this podcast, you know, I mean, it blows me away because I think back. I mean, I think of your story, Erik, and you know, and again, for folks that haven't listened to it, go back and check it out. It's a 3-part series that Erik walks through his, you know, your life. But man, you get that, like you get what it's like to go through that, man. And that's, I just think it's so rare to have that a part of this, like. You can speak to it, you know what I mean? Like really speak to it.
Yeah, it's unique because and it's because of the nature of vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we somehow, some way, and you and I both know where that strength comes from. We were able to tell our stories, and that story, I mean, it says it right in the Bible. We overcome by the power of our testimony.
Yeah.
And that's how we overcome. And you know, the unique perspective that I have is unfortunately that prison side of it, the attempt side of it. You know, you've got loss of a sibling, you've got the loss of your son, and it's like you've got the loss of a father, and it's like, you know, it's just unique in the fact that this organization has develop relationships enough where people can come out and feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable. Because there's a lot of power in the spoken word.
Amen.
And that's all we're trying to do here, and that's what Clark and LDR Studios has allowed us to do, is to have our voices cast a wider net. You know, and it's a beautiful thing, and allow other guys to come in and do that, because that's really the point of what we're trying to do, is bringing these guys in here and giving different perspectives. Right. Because we just had a farmer on. You know, we hadn't had a farmer on before.
Well, and I'll tell you, man, that whole thing, honestly, I mean, that me digging in, I dug in. So here's what happened is I had dug in before we went to Farm Aid, and I was like, man, I want to just understand the statistics around farming and suicide and mental health and so on. And then I read an article, and it was put out, I think it was put out in 2019 or maybe 2020, but the statistics in farming is 8 times higher than the national average when you look at the suicide rates. And so that was really, you know, it was really like shocking for one. But I mean, like I've shared and others shared, you know, I grew up around, you know, a farming community. So I kind of get it, right? But I mean, it's not a lot different in terms of like just heaviness and dealing with things and all kinds of things like that. But it just was shocking to me, man. But it was cool. You're right. I mean, the diversity of what we've talked about on this podcast, man, is just, it's humbling. I guess that's the best word for it.
What has been kind of eye-opening for me is I love the human story. I love stories, and I've always been drawn to that, and I've always loved that, and that's what I love about this podcast, is we're able to get those stories. But when you peel back that onion, and whether you're a veteran, whether you're a farmer, whether you're in construction, whether you're a business guy, it doesn't matter. Whether you own a podcast studio, it doesn't matter. When you peel back that onion, it all comes down to that decision that you're going to make to discover that pain with other people.
Yep.
Because until you make that decision, that's what we talk about, I think, almost on every podcast. It comes back to that.
Yeah.
Is guys out there who are struggling and who are hurting, you all have made that decision. You've all made that decision to make your stories public and to be vulnerable enough and to have whatever repercussions those are, good and bad, of making your stories public. But you've allowed that vulnerability to come into your life, and I hope it's been a blessing, that you guys were on here and you've heard from people and talked to people where you're able to share, because I know I know Brandon has, and I know Clark has, and it's like, I mean, Clark, you could spend a whole podcast on the stories that you've told me about. Once you started to make that decision to deal with it, and there's power in that. And that's why I always just keep coming back to is the power of the spoken word, and that's what we're trying to do. So,
well, I think it's, I don't know if you were throwing me a softball there or not. Go ahead, Clark.
No, go ahead.
I thought he was tossing me a softball, but I'm ripping through my notes.
Are you going to hit one out of the park here?
Uh-huh.
I just kind of want to go back to the Kyle Lamb thing, because that was the first time we took this like remotely, and took the crew and family and friends and all that, and went down and had like it was a good team building weekend.
I wasn't in a real good mood though when we got there.
You weren't.
It was
good to see.
I was kind of being a little bit of a bitch. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you had a lot of shit going on.
You said
I'm glad I didn't have to say that.
Call spade, you know what I mean? It's what it was.
No, but it's cool. Let's paint the picture for him, on where we went and what we did.
I mean, you guys just threw it out there, and we're like, yeah, sure, we'll try that. Like, we'd never done anything remote, so we took all this gear and.
Well, so back up a minute. Back up a little bit.
Scaled down version.
Hold on a minute. So back up a minute of that. Just again, so people understand this, right? Eric and I aren't like super well connected people when it comes to like getting guests to come on podcast, outside of the fact, like we've said, hey man, if you have a story and you want to share it, come on, right? Like you reach out to everybody here. So we have a friend of ours that goes to the same church that we go to, Cam. I don't know if I suppose I can say it. Cam.
Well, of course
you can say his last name. Well, because we love Cam, right?
Yeah.
Cam's our man.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm only bringing it up because it's like through connections of people, right? So Cam reaches out to Kyle. He's like, hey, man, we got this group. This is what they're doing. We'd love to do a podcast. Kyle's like, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Indianapolis. So he's like, maybe you guys can come to Nashville.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, well, happens to be that our pastor of our church, Rusty Kennedy, who's also been on an episode of Building a Refuge, he's gone through his own struggles, not only as a pastor, but he actually lost his brother to suicide as well.
Recently.
Within the last year. And so we had him and his brother's son or his nephew on. And Rusty happens to be really good friends with the band Mercy Me. And if you don't know who they are, they're a very well-known Christian band in that kind of space. And so Rusty was like, well, let's reach out to Bart. Maybe we can shoot it at the studio. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is not going to happen. I'm like, whatever. So lo and behold, all this shit comes together and boom. We're landing at the studio, right, in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Tommy, what did you do when we learned a little bit about this? Look at him laughing. When we learned tell me a little bit about the studio, right? Who's recorded there?
Oh yeah, Motley Crue was there.
They lived there
They lived there in the '80s when Tommy Lee threw the drumstick and hit the kid in the eye, and so they had a whole lawsuit. So instead of going back and forth, they
lived in this house.
We'll just buy this house and just build a studio. And then after that, they had to like probably
clean
burn
it a
some
little
sage
bit. But more importantly, who wrote a song in there?
Yeah. Eric Clapton wrote "Change the World."
Yeah, and what did you do? Tommy, you did what?
I found the bathroom as fast as I could.
But no, this is what I love about musicians, man. Tommy takes his shoes off, like goes barefoot,
Oh, yeah.
and just stands and just feels he's like.
We're all like, we need to like ground ourselves like with the energy that's been here, you know what I mean? So take off your, I had the boots and had to like tear everything, but it was so worth it though, because you could physically, literally feel it, like your feet would hit the grass at the ground, and you just we're on top of like a mountain looking out, and it's like how
it was so beautiful.
It was so blessed. It was just one word that would be blessed. And
so you initially became Eric Clapton. Is that what you felt like?
No, well,
I feel like he felt Eric Clapton energy because we went down on Broadway and
it was the opposite.
But we didn't know that weekend that we were going to be down there there was CMT.
Oh, CMA
Fest,
or CMA Fest.
Yeah.
And we,
Country Music Awards.
yeah. And
It was
we got to the
crazy.
bar, and there's 4 perfect seats, like just like God was like,
Like
come
3
on,
different bars, man.
Yeah, no,
it was so
insane.
weird.
And
We'd all walk in, there's seats for every one of us.
And the bartender goes, "So you guys here for CMA?" And we're like, "CMA what?"
We just thought it was a
What?
busy day on Broadway. You know? We had
And there
no
was
idea.
like hundreds of thousands of people down there, and we're like, "Oh, isn't this going to be fun?" You know.
That's when you say yes. Yes, I am.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I mean that was so blessed though. I mean,
But what was cool about that, like we all, which I think this was part of the reason that your anxiety was a little high, was we all stayed in one house.
Well, no,
And
yeah.
Brandon and I brought our wives, and we're like, oh,
it's like,
shit.
Clark
what-
and Tommy.
Well, and Cam brought us
Yeah.
yeah. And here's the thing,
When
like
debauchery's
again, so
coming.
if you think about it, like let's go back. Like this was maybe 6 months into our relationship, right?
Yeah.
Between all of us.
a true test.
And we're like,
Hey, we're still friends.
It's a new level when you all have to try to. How many?
Yeah.
So what
well,
was that?
seeing
There-
Clark
12
in his
people?
boxers in the morning was always a
Yeah.
treat.
Cohabitation at its finest.
And Tommy waking up and just being like, let's go.
Totally, breakfast of champions. always.
Yeah.
So we got an opportunity. You know, we were stayed right by downtown, and one of the coolest things, you know, after we did the podcast with Kyle, was they just started finding places for Tommy to play,
Yeah.
and it was so cool. For 2 days, really, for you guys for 3 days, because we were exhausted. But for 2 days,
going.
we
got
got
hard,
to watch.
man.
We just got to go around bar to bar, blues bar,
Yeah,
country bar,
yeah.
all these different places, and watch Tammy or
Tammy.
Tammy Baldwin? You got a sister?
watch.
Dolly Baldwin.
We just got to watch Tommy just melt faces, and it was awesome.
That was probably
The
fun
blues
one.
bar was super epic.
It
was.
The bar that I fell asleep in, the honky tonk,
man.
the slowest honky tonk.
Yeah, I told Mike, I was like, Mike, how in the world is that bass player going to keep up with Tommy? And Mike goes, what's going to be better is watching Tommy slow down for him.
If you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese,
Oh my gosh! yeah.
this
He's the
bass
big
player,
gorilla.
he's the big guy in the front, and he was just literally, he didn't move the whole time other than his eyes, and he was looking around, and he was playing, and I'm like, Tommy is gonna light this guy's world on
Yeah,
fire.
and the best part was though when the dude introduced him, that was
Yeah.
classic,
God,
man. He's like, "We got one hell of a guitar player from Indianapolis going.
Oh my God.
Get up here and put her down for us, Tommy. I mean Tyler."
And I kind of nudged him. I was like, "Hey man, my name's Tommy." And he goes, "Well, oh my God." And it was loud when I met him. I didn't have my hearing aids. I'm like, hearing aids, and he had hearing aids, and I'm like, what in the?
But that band had managed to run 2/3 of that crowd out of the bar.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
But then when Tommy stepped up there, and the drummer,
I made his day.
the drummer was like
So
on
excited.
cloud 9. Like he came and played, and then they just started jamming, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, when we were
That's one of those
when we
things.
were at the blues bar, and I went down and talked to that guy.
Dude, you were manager,
You know,
man.
well,
you were just straight up.
He always
like,
the
does
funny
that.
the funny
I mean,
thing
for real.
is like I went up to this guy and he was the guitar player for this band, and so I mean, he's probably in his 60s or something like that, pretty well known.
Yeah.
I think what I found out afterwards, pretty well known band anyways that plays in Nashville. And so I said, "Hey man," I said, "You know, you're part of the I'm part of the
we
band,
got this
whatever."
young guitar player.
Yeah. I go, listen, man. I said, we're in town shooting a podcast, and I said, and we got one of our, our team here, one of our guys here that would love to get up and play a song or two. And I was like, man, he won't disappoint you. And this guy looked at me and he goes, "Son, you want to know how many times I've been told that?" And I told him, I said, "Look, man," I said, I'll put your whole band's bar tab on this. The kid's not going to freaking disappoint you, dude." He goes, then he goes, "Where's he at? I want to talk to him." I'm like, "Tommy, get out here."
He walked in and said, "Wow."
But the best part,
I now know your method of management.
yeah. The best part was, it's not hard to do with him playing, man, not at all. So the
Appreciate that,
funny
man.
part was after Tommy got done with the 2 songs and just freaking lit it up, and the sax player was jacked. and everything, that guy was like, "Give me that damn guitar back, son. Get out of here."
It was cool, man. It was fun. And he was really nice. And then you got one of his records,
Yeah,
and I asked him to sign it while he's playing the guitar, and he signs it to me and go, well, there you go. All right. There you go. Here you go, Clark.
Yeah, my album says to Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think I knew that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's even that makes
Because it was so loud. I was like, can you sign this for me? And before I even got to finish, he was like, oh, for you, sure. I'm like, okay, all right.
But you know, another,
I'm gonna have Tommy scratch it out and then put Clark and sign it.
with an E on the end.
there were two.
It's okay.
There were two other fun moments of that trip, man. Was one like when we all cooked out.
Dude, that was amazing.
Clark's
That barbecue.
buddy came over. We were all just hanging out. in the
Shout out to
backyard.
Roberts, by the way, because
Yeah.
man, they took us in and like they took care of us the whole time, that whole weekend.
So if you're going to Nashville, Tennessee on Broadway, go to Roberts, man.
Yeah.
Check them out. They're a fun place.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other part, I don't even remember the name of the cafe that we ate breakfast at when we left to go home.
Oh,
And
my God.
that waitress, man, she was just like so taken back by us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys took pictures, put it on their website."
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and all that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I think the fun thing about all that is, man, is it's just it was a community of friends that got together, and we didn't know each other all that well, right? To spend 3 days together in a house, but
Well,
it was amazing.
You throw our wives in the mix that didn't even know.
Sounds like a really good reality.
we should just take it on the road, man, for sure.
Solid!
Yeah, there it is.
So solid!
So if you guys don't,
There's a throwback. There's a throwback for you.
That's awesome.
that is fantastic. So here's the thing: in Clark's episode, I told Clark this.
My ringer's fucking off, too.
The funniest thing is in his episode when he was talking about
Right on the
Adam.
money. Holy shit.
When he was talking about Adam, man, right when he started talking about him, that Mark called right during that spot.
Oh, my God.
And the ringer came on again. We're filming my episode twice.
So if you haven't seen it, go out and watch
That's
Clark's
amazing.
episode, man. It's a fantastic.
It's still the
one.
same ringtone. by
Dude,
the
that's
way,
great, man.
That's how I know my son's
No,
calling.
but when I was mentioning the wives, one of the coolest things that I took from that trip was my wife's comment after the trip was over, because she was pretty concerned that,
No way.
Hey.
First caller, long time listener.
Mark, you're on the phone. Hello.
I'm hungry.
but she was
Mark,
concerned
I'm
about
shooting a
the shower
podcast.
and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and getting everybody showered, getting everybody around, getting all that stuff.
Yeah,
and after it was over, like we're driving home, and she's like, I love those guys.
He's hungry.
Yeah.
So
That's
they,
awesome.
they got to see what we see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys, and that's just
Yeah,
cool.
man, and I think that goes a long ways, just in generally speaking, in terms of what we do and the community that we try to build through this. I mean, it has been an amazing partnership with LDR, and I mean, I've gotten to know Mark. Mark was riding around me in my car a couple
You
weeks
definitely
ago.
know his ringtone.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky. It's definitely tricky. But
fuck.
and I would, like meeting your family, Tommy. I mean, you
Yeah,
know what I
man.
mean? Like you have an amazing story, dude. And
Thank you.
and I guess, I mean from just a question perspective, I mean, when you heard about us, right? I think you and I had coffee one day at the well at Fisher's.
I dove in.
Yeah.
I just dove in,
And
man,
I was kind of hooked to it because I saw your podcast on the Everyday GSD,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I said
Darren?
the F word like 20 million times, like within the first 13 minutes. I had some people text me and go, I had to turn it off, man. He's like, do you seriously? I'm like, yeah. I felt a little too comfortable on that one. But, I mean, but that's the whole point, though,
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, that was amazing. I mean, like, meeting you guys, and it's just been a huge blessing to my family and I,
Yeah.
and it's been amazing.
Well, you have an
Yeah.
amazing family, dude.
Well,
Cute kids.
thank you so much.
And you got one on the way, right?
I do, yeah.
That's awesome.
Is that okay to say that?
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, do we
We're
need to
good.
bleep
No,
that
it's
one
fine.
out?
No, you're fine. We're good. It's okay. People find out sooner or later, so we'll be all right.
Well, okay then.
No, I love it. No, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Well, they're beautiful kids, man, for
Thank
sure.
you so much.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out how it keeps happening, but having fun figuring it out.
Good Lord above, man. Good
Yeah,
Lord
there
above.
you go, man.
Yeah. So share with, I guess, tell us, man. I mean, what what would you say from like, hey, this is why I'm, was interested in doing this, or, you said I can get behind what you guys are doing. Like, what's mental health, I think, mean to you?
Oh man, I mean, it's everything. Like when I lost my dad, especially being 10 years old, it was like growing as a teenager, going through all those emotions and shit anyways, and like the whole 9 yards, man. Like just going home and music, like honestly, music is like my mental health, like help, I guess. And 8 hours a day just sitting there, like also that's why I love the blues, because I can relate so much in the blues of what they feel, what they're saying, what they're singing, what they're playing, everything, you know what I mean? And I grew up listening to kind of smooth jazz, Sade, Al Green, George Benson, and then I went into like heavy rock. Losing my dad, I loved like Linkin Park and stuff. And then one day on YouTube, excuse me, I found Steve Ray Vaughan and go, that's how I want to play guitar. That's exactly what I'm feeling right here, because I had all this frustration and shit, and it just as a kid growing up. Yeah. And just kind of, being, like mentally just aware and of like how to actually deal with this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And music like literally saved my life, you know what I mean? And and then now I feel like it's become a testimony now to where I go and play somewhere, and I told you the story of take no gigs for granted, and whether it's in front of like 5,000, 4,000 people, whatever, or 40 people or whatever, it just depends on. I mean, it doesn't matter about the size of the room, whatever. It depends about the crowd and what they're going through and how the music helps them, and then they come up going, dude, I was gonna go home and literally slam this beer and end myself, but you gave me one more night. And that was at Joe's Grill in Fishers, I swear to God. And I haven't seen him to this day still. I hope he's okay. But just when he walked up and said, I gave him the biggest hug. It was like, dude, man. No, like, don't ever, don't ever. Excuse me. So like, music for me as a kid growing up, and it making me feel that way. And the fact that it doesn't matter how old you are, what you're going through, everything. Music is just instantly like, it just instantly, like you said, it like builds a community, what I mean? Yeah. And, if you go to a show where everybody's there for the same artist, for the same song, for whatever different perspective, when they hear that lyric or when they feel that chord or whatever's going on, everybody just looks at each other and they don't even know each other, but it's like, I just love you. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just instant unity, man, and it literally is just like, it brings all the walls down, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's, we talk about the atmosphere that we're trying to do here and also at our events. But, the cool thing about all these different people that we're meeting and the people that have come into our path is somehow, some way, God allows us to use their talents to help what we're doing. Yeah. And what Tommy is able to do is not only does he have a story, but man, at our events, like we have these events, and I swear every single time it's like I had that group from Cicero. And the guys came down. They were on a ride and all that stuff. They came down, they hung out, and they heard Tommy playing, and they were getting ready to leave. Yeah. And they sat right back down in their chair, and they hung out there for like another hour and a half. Yeah. And we were able to have more conversation. So it's not just about them sitting and listening to Tommy. It's like they stayed and hung around, and we got to know each other better. Yeah. And I mean, that's beautiful.
Well, and here's the deal. Those guys are great dudes, man. It's the American Legion Riders Club in Cicero. It's a very, very organized. Eric and I had we've had a lot of firsts this year, man. Yeah, man. Like a lot of firsts. So Eric and I, a guy that works on my Harley Davidson, Vince Baker, I'm gonna shout out to him. He's a great dude, part of the American Legion Riders Club up there. Anyways, he's like, yeah, we'll support your ride, man. Can you guys come by and talk about a little bit about your nonprofit? And we're like, yeah, sure, no problem. We're not used to doing this, so we get up there, and so we get in, and the American Legion's a really cool bar, but man, it's if you haven't spent a lot of time, and I have, like I've told you guys, man, I have a ton of respect for our veterans, and so
amen.
You just walk in there, and you just want to make sure you're respectful, but it's a smoky bar, man.
And
there's a lot of, people hanging out at the bar, and it's like the record goes. Yeah, when Eric and I walk in, and turn around, look at us, and I'm like, oh shit, And so then this guy that's got a real deep voice like this, he's like, who you guys? And we said, we're building a refuge. He's like, oh yeah, hold on a minute. So he goes in the back room, and he comes out. He goes, I'm gonna call on you in 5 minutes. And we're like, okay. So he comes out, and he's like, building a refuge. So we go back, and there's probably 40 guys
Easily,
back there, and they're all, they're all veterans, and. And so Eric and I got to get up in front of these guys and tell them about, what we do, the importance of mental health, the importance of veterans, the importance of just what we do here, just hanging out and talking. And so we shared with them. And so I didn't know what to expect, but they gave us an applause.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck?
Well, I think,
I was just humbled by that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was really humbled by that.
I think they just wanted to know we were for real.
Yeah.
And they, I'm sure they've probably had people in there that have come in the door and out the door, and
we've done this summer, man. We've done a lot of stuff for them. There's a nonprofit here in town called the Leum Project where they do, and Jonathan, you appreciate. You might know these guys. They train service dogs.
Yeah, I know who they are.
Yep. So super cool lady. So they did a fundraiser. The Riders Club did. We donated, I think, a couple $100 to them. We've donated another. I think we're up at one other ride that I can't remember it was a gentleman young man that had lost his life in Cicero. That's a vet. We donated money to their cause and stuff like that. But I want to call him out because I asked the chapter president, Ryan McKinney. I said, hey man, we want to kind of rethink about how we do our Rock and Ride for Hope. And for those that don't know, this is our May event. Tommy's played it.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Eric talked a little bit about it earlier. We're going to do some really cool shit with it this year. But I said, hey man, would you guys be open to like running this ride for us? Because our rides have always been a poker style ride where you come in, you check in, and then you just go and you get your stamps and you come back. The rides that the American Legion Riders Club do, they're a group ride. Right. And Josh and I have been on one together, which is a super cool ride, right?
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So they do group rides, and it's, man, you got blockers, sweepers. I think that probably that day there were 75 bikes, maybe 80 bikes in that ride.
I know. Yeah, and you're talking about what you guys experienced when you walked into that room, and I think we talked about your VFW. I mean, when I met these guys, you're like, okay, this is, these guys, 2 + 2 = 4 to them. Yep. That's it. It's black and white. They don't play around.
No, man.
No, they don't.
And Ryan was like, man, we'd be honored to lead it for you. Right. So if you don't know, coming up at the Rock and Ride for Hope, that'll happen on Saturday. I think it's May 18th. I think that's the date, May 18th. Yeah. They will lead that ride, man. And it's going to be fun, man. It'll be a lot of fun. But again, it's back to what this Building a Refuge has done.
Yeah.
Organically. Like we haven't fertilized this thing in any other way but just reaching out to people and just connecting.
Well, I gotta admit, in the beginning I was all about the numbers. Yeah. I was all about, how many we're reaching, what we're doing, and growing this thing and getting it real big, and I was doing it in my own strength. And you were always the one. You were I would be the yin, you were the yang, and you were tugging on me like, hey man, we don't need to do that, And the more and more meetings we had and the more and more people that were brought into our path, it was like that became, it allowed me to relax a little bit. Yeah. All the while in the back of my head, realizing and knowing the problem that we had, the magnitude of the problem that we have, not only in our community, but throughout the country. And what it just allowed me to do was relax and be present, with the guys that I was in front of.
Yeah. I mean, Eric, I think it's
a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good opportunity to, even share with the audience, man, because we get asked, what do you do with your money? Right. Yeah. And it's an important topic. And so, and I have no problem being 100% transparent. 100% of our money goes back to people to help, men to help, families to help, if there's a cause or whatever, 100% of our dollars goes back to that. Yep. This year, I remember we were all hanging out. I'd known Clark for a couple months. It was January, I think, or December or whatever. And I remember us sitting down. I said, if we could raise, or we can at the end of 2023 have $25,000 in our account, like that will be a home run for us this year. Mm-hmm. Because going through COVID and everything like that, shit just came to kind of a halt. So this 2023 really was the first year, full year back from what we had kind of had to not pushed to the curb, because we did it virtually and it was weird and we did all this shit, but we just didn't have that momentum. And at the end of this year, in December, we're going to have very close to that $25,000.
That's great, man. That's awesome.
Now, with that being said, and listen, a lot of thanks goes to a lot of people, man. It's a community of people that have helped raise and do this, right? We've had a couple of nice anonymous donors, and then most recently, one of our friends, again, talking to people, right? One of my friends is a part of the Zionsville Century Club, and if anybody knows what they are, they're a men's group that get together. They're at the VFW in Zionsville, and they pick a charity. And so when they pick a charity, every one of the guys donates $100. And we've been so blessed to be chosen by them that we're going to end up getting a check, or we recently got a check for about $8,500 from those guys.
That's beautiful.
And so it's important to us, man, to give back. That's what we want to do with this money. We want to give back to help.
That number, like, we couldn't even fathom that at the beginning of this thing.
No.
And it is important that we talk about it. I'm glad you brought it up. It's because we do have those three pillars.
Yeah.
The education, the awareness, and the scholarship.
Yeah.
And one of the things, you know. Yeah, and so through this podcast, we're able to do the first two, right? Mm-hmm. The education and the awareness piece, and we do that on our local events as well. You know, and the thing that we want to do more of is, you know, when we have people who reach out, like those rides, you know, and recently we had a guy who was, you know, behind the eight ball a little bit. We were able to help him out.
Yep.
You know, those types of things, when we are able to do that, we have the ability to do it.
That's right.
Where before we didn't have that, we had to find resources for them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a huge amount of money to, you know, compared to the need that's out there.
Right.
But we're able to do our part.
Yeah.
And it's because of the relationships and the gifts that we've gotten from people. That's huge, man.
And I mean, when you stand up in front of a group, in my opinion, when you stand up in front of a group of veterans and you understand, you know, what they've been through, and you have any sort of a historical mindset and a respect level about you, you want to be very good stewards of where you spend the money.
Because they're going to call you out on it.
That's right. They're going to call you out on it.
As
well they should.
And what's great is, you know, our board consists of Clark, myself, and you, and we have two other board members, and nothing gets done unless we all are in agreement, like, hey, this is what we're going to do with it, you know? And that's what I mean about 100% of it goes back. Yeah. We don't reinvest it. We don't redo anything with that. We do in our hearts the best thing that we can do with that to support somebody, and so I think that's super important.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
I think the big thing too, you're talking about a number or a metric of that 25,000, but what does that really mean? You know, as far as how many people have you reached? Or that dollar or that 50 cents? You know what I mean? Because I'm sure in your platform, Tommy, your platform, John, you, big dog, you. How many people that we talked to?
The
you
dude.
know, I mean, I was at that conference, that Battle Mind conference yesterday, and you know, you tell your story. Same thing, and then this kind of organically comes out about Bar, and then you know, I'm working with the county and the people that, you know, the powers that be. They want to know, what are you doing? And then Bar is discussed, and then they're going to go talk about it. And then, you know, next thing you know, that dollar amount, it grows, but it grows more, I think, on a spiritual level.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I mean,
that's part of what I was talking about earlier, is I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so, like, I was trying to strangle this thing to death, and the minute I let go of it, and through
trust the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And it you know, Kyle talked about, you know, Kyle Lamb talked about the mission, you know, and that mission became very clear to me, is that all I need to do is my part. You need to do your part, and then we need to do it together. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. It's a
kumbaya. We got your back over here.
And I didn't even think, like, going to Nashville, man. I mean, I had a work trip right in front of it, and everybody else was driving in, and I was flying in, and like, anxiety, as we know it, man, anxiety, you know, takes over pretty quick. And so I started.
You were in grind mode, bro.
Well, here's what happens. I mean, you start forward thinking into shit. And then you know, I would tell people, anybody that's listening, to try to balance that as much as possible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as much, because I'm realist too, right? I mean, I'm realistic about this. Like, it's going to happen. Just know it's going to happen. But anxiety, man, creeps up on you quick. Sure. And before you know it, man, you are just in the grips of it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Coming into that thing, man, I had a million different thoughts in my mind, like, what about this? What about that? And what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And it's just.
But I think you finally have realized you can let go of some shit now.
Yeah.
And that's at least you've let go of a lot of stuff. So you've grown in that way for sure.
But that's well, thanks. I mean, Clark, I appreciate that. I mean, I see it as how this is going. I mean, Erik and I, when we. Really us and Mike Rekoff, who was one of our very first episodes. I love Mike. Mike is one of our dear, dear friends. Mike lost his daughter 2012, I think it was 2013, by suicide. And I just think the world of his family and everybody. And, Mike has been really, really great for us to help us kind of, get this thing going. Mike and Erik actually met first. They used to meet at Mama Bear's coffee shop and talk about this. And Erik knew me and brought me in. And then I think once Mike realized like we had our feet underneath us, he just, he stepped away, and he's taught us along the way.
What's great about him is he brings a perspective of reality.
Yeah.
He's like,
right.
these are the hurdles you're gonna run across.
That's right.
And we ran across them.
We still run across them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you straight up, and this is what we do here. Straight up, the hardest thing about running a nonprofit and doing this is finding volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
The hardest thing.
Yeah.
You'll have 1 million. And Mike told us. He said you'll have 1 million people tell you, "Oh yeah, I'll help.
Right.
We'll help. We'll do this. We'll do that."
Right.
Shit, time comes, man, and
yeah,
this group right in here, this group right here that you see here today, and a hand select few others, our wives for one, are the ones that help. You know what I mean? And I'm not being critical of it. It's just reality.
It is.
You know what I mean? But here's the thing. I don't fucking care. My goal in this is for this to live on one day, is to go on. Sure. Like I told Erik, I've told Clark, I've told, the guys on the team, and look, man, I don't ever want this thing to stop if I'm not here. If I can't be here, man,
Right.
this thing needs to keep standing forward.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I talk about with like my clients and stuff in my life coaching business and things like that on the side, I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, you got this wall in front of you. You're the only one to put the wall there. So how are you going to break through it? Do you want to climb it? Do you want to break through it? Do you want to go around it? It's all about just letting the control go away and understand that internal locus of control and external locus of control, and go that route. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's your inside. It's your inside control. What can you control within your life? Mm-hmm. Everything else that's external of you, like you don't know that it's going to rain here in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. You can't control that. You can prep for it, but you can't control that. Mm-hmm. That's just Mother Nature talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to remember, whatever's internally with you, know that is your control. You can control your feelings. You can control how you're thinking. You can control how you interact with people, all that good stuff. You personally.
Yeah.
But anything outside of you, you can't control. It's like what the airlines say, put your mask on so you can help others.
Yeah.
John, how much of that did you, and Josh, jump in here, how much of that do you think you learned in your military experience?
Oh, I can tell you that was from day one, because what you find out is, especially in the battle zones, you have zero control whether there's going to be, you walk around a corner, whether you're going to be zapped or not. Let's just be honest. I mean, that's just reality. And in general, you can't control whether somebody's going to be up on a tower just sniping you away. You can't control that. All you can do is go, okay, right now I'm living the best life I have today, because tomorrow might never come, but just know that I live the best life today.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it.
I think that's really a great, again, I think, because Josh, you and I have talked about this a little bit, and you shared on your episode, the hardest thing for you, and the hardest thing, again, this is just talk. I don't know this personally, just what you talk. My cousin Heath, he's a military vet, but being in the military and then coming out and snap having to figure out civilian lifestyle.
Me and Josh just talked about this earlier. I'm still learning how to be a civilian.
Yeah.
I just started to become a civilian October 1st of 2020.
Wow.
And I have zero clue. I was talking with my dad the other day. He's an old vet too.
Yeah, right on.
And he just goes, "You will never be a civilian." After you said, he said after you signed your life away, and you told Uncle Sam that you would give your life for this country, you will never be a civilian again. He goes, but you can tolerate it.
Yeah,
He's like, you just have to make sure you release and know what you can control.
exactly.
That's super cool, man.
That's one of the challenges is like, coming and okay, here it's staring you in the face. I still haven't learned how to be a civilian because, especially in the business world and just different, interacting with certain people, our barometer's changed.
Yeah.
So we think differently, we walk differently, we see things differently. Not to say that we're better than anybody.
I got you. Yeah.
Please, I'm not trying to say that. All I'm saying is that we are more of a direct line. We look for situations that are a direct line. And a lot of times when that doesn't happen, it frustrates.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. No, I don't understand. I'm like a full amount of empathy for you on that, and I appreciate you like being open about that because I think, I said talking to my cousin Heath, he was 13 years, I believe, in the Air Force. I'm trying to get the years. He was Air Force, but he even today, and he's been out 10 plus years or more. And Heath's done a lot with us at the barbecues. You met Heath this year.
Yeah.
He is such a regimented guy, and order in his life is important. And if it gets out of order, he doesn't like it.
I still make my bed like basic training. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. You can take a coin and flip it, and it'll come up off of the bed. I still do it every single day. I still do it.
That's good. That's great.
I'm not that bad, but there's still some.
I got called out here.
Yeah. Well, those Marines are a little messy, right?
Yeah. John's still a little green to the world. But yeah, kind of piggyback off that. There's still some things that that I look at. Or people see things that I do, and they're like, they don't understand, And I'm like, well, you don't have to understand, all I'm trying to do is operate in the same world that you are, but I'm going to do it a little bit different. Doesn't mean that I'm belittling anybody or I'm trying to be better. It's just to learn how my internal locus is turned up a little bit more. I think that,
a little bit more aware.
I want to bring that to the mental health part of it too, is like when we do, I'm not just talking about veterans, I'm talking about police officers, musicians. I mean, I could not even fathom the amount of stress to plan a gig, to get the equipment. Is the equipment going to work? Yeah. Are you going to sound right? Are you going to touch the people?
Everybody's Friday night.
Right.
Every time,
Right. I think the parallel there is that you're at a heightened sense.
Yeah.
And like the military, you're at a heightened sense, and then you get used to being like that the whole time. So when it's calm, it's like,
it doesn't feel right.
Right, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to interview Patrick Stone, and Patrick, if you're listening to this, man, I love you, brother. Patrick Stone. I met him.
Crazy story.
And it reminds me of this, and I think that's what we're doing here on this.
I think Erik was on sick leave last week.
He was definitely.
Cool. You would have loved him.
So, but Patrick, man, he's got a pretty wild story. And for those of you who haven't listened, go check his episode out, Patrick Stone.
Yeah.
He just brought up, musicians. Patrick lost his sister to suicide when he was 19. I think it was 19 years old. He lived in California,
Hollywood,
been a part of the music scene, and I'll just fast forward through a lot of it. The dude went through a ton of shit, man, because everybody that has experienced somebody in their family that has taken their life, you'll understand that it rips a hole through the continuum that never repairs itself, and it just fucking wrecks a lot of stuff. So Patrick, this is why I want to come back to you, Josh. So Patrick lived that rock style lifestyle
To a T.
Oh,
to a T, man.
Like we're just, our jaws are on the floor, man. I mean, but, and I'm just gonna.
His dad having a heart attack saved his life.
I'm gonna brush this. So everything from speed, pills, acid, ecstasy, coke, heroin, anything you could think of from a chemical perspective. Patrick's done it to the excessive amount.
Wow.
So to Clark's point, he finally was he was on Hollywood. He tells a story. He was on Hollywood Boulevard, just like thinking like, what, you know, he said he just, man, I never planned to live past 30 anyway. So he's like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
So he was trying to figure out like how to make money and shit. And he finally like got some money and sold one of his guitars or pawned one of his guitars off. And he said he went and bought like as much heroin as he could buy.
Yeah.
Went home and he like,
needle in the vein,
dude. Like I don't like the details around how he was explaining this and loading up a syringe and
the time
priming it and all this shit, man. Like it's deep. Like that's what I get really like smoked on, because these are the details of somebody
it's
that's
etched in his memory like it was yesterday.
So like
man.
Clark said, man, he had this thing loaded up, primed up, ready to go, man. He's getting ready to fucking jam it in, man, or as he calls slamming it. As I'm getting ready to slam it, my phone rings. And it's his guy that's on the phone. He's like, hey, man, is this Patrick? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I'm your dad's neighbor, man, and I was just dropping off some dishes to him. He goes, I think your dad's having a heart attack. He's dying. And Patrick's he's like sitting there with a fucking needle in his arm. He's like, what?
Yeah, the timing.
Like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, you don't think he's going to make it? You want to talk to him? He's like, and he's like, Patrick's like, I don't mean to laugh. He goes, but I just have to laugh about it. And he's like, so I pull the needle out, man, and my dad's on the phone. He's mumbling something. I can't understand him. And the guy gets back on. He's like, man, dude, if you want to see him alive, you better get your ass here now.
Yeah.
So long story short, he gets his ass to...
He sold his last guitar.
Yeah, sold his last guitar, gets to Reno, Nevada. That's where his dad was at. And basically, he gets there and his dad's in a coma. He's had a heart attack. He's had a stroke. And he kneels down beside his bed and he just tells God, he said, if you save my dad, he said, I'll basically stop hurting myself. And he goes, I went back to my dad's house. He goes, I drank every bit of fucking liquor that I could find in his house. I passed out, went back to the hospital the next day. You know, he stopped, you know, pretty much at that point because there's nothing left to drink or do. And like a day later, man, he was at the hospital and he was just sitting by his bed or whatever. And his dad wakes up and looks at him. And from that day on, he has never touched alcohol.
Sober, yeah.
Never and his life has done a complete 180. Like, I mean, a complete. He was telling a story about the show Deadwood.
Yeah.
And he used to hang out at this drug house in Hollywood. And every time they would say, cocksucker.
All the words they say in the whole movie, like every 5 minutes.
If they would say motherfucker, cocksucker, one of the two, they would either do a shot or do a line, whether it was speed or coke or whatever. So you can imagine. And then, like, he's acting in Deadwood. Like, he's an actor on Deadwood. He gets, like, it's just crazy, man. Like, it's just amazing. But so I circle that back, Josh, because I know you've had, you know, you shared your story of addiction and you shared your story of that. And we've talked to you about kind of that. You had a moment, man. You talked a little bit about, like, I knew, like, you know.
Yeah. Kind of like what the gentleman that you were talking about. I know, Clark. I'm being a bad student.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to produce.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, Mike, I don't know if Mike's asleep back there, but he looks like Ray Charles a little bit with those glasses on. I love you, buddy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the gentleman you were talking about. I mean, mine was more of a. I was feeling that way, like tired of what I was doing, and I knew, like, I guess that saying is I was running on borrowed time.
Yeah.
As far as I wouldn't say health-wise, but also legal-wise.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned before I decided to say, hey, this is it. I was like 16 years of compounded legal problems.
Oh, yeah.
And it was none other because of alcohol. Getting behind the wheel, and then that kind of thinking, being a serviceman, well, I got to work, I gotta complete the mission. I have that, well, you lose your license, it's against the law to drive.
Right.
Well, you do that, and then next thing you know, you got more charges. And then it just continues and continues, and then luckily I got involved with this program through the county at the veteran court, and it kind of just like, we talk about organics. It was just it organically happened. These people, you could tell that they cared, and in the psychiatry world, I think we kind of got into talking, John and I, like if you're going to go talk to a psychiatrist about that's done 4 years of college or how much college they have, but haven't really walked in your shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a very tough thing to swallow.
Yep.
How am I going to open up and how am I going to identify with this person? Well, luckily through the program and things like this, programs like this, people, that care. And when I mean care, I'm not saying, oh, rainbows. I mean, hey, either you're going to get this help or we're going to make you get this help.
Yeah, they got those mentors.
Yes.
At the vet court. I've done that a couple of times with other vets.
I mean, it was a very harsh reality because if I didn't do it, I would probably still I'd be in prison still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good segue, and because you guys were talking about, being a life coach and how things happen, and one of our board members, Tommy Perry.
Yep, Tommy Perry.
I love that guy because
he's got an episode as well. Check
he's
that
on there
out.
as well. And he talks about in his episode and our meetings when he's talking to guys, he talks about it because, one of the ways that he practices, because he's an actual therapist, and with the VA.
Yeah, I think we met him at Harley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks all the time about, therapists who quote unquote cure people of their depression or of whatever they're going through. And a perfect example of what he always talks about is, okay, you bring somebody in, you cure them of their depression. They walk outside and they find out their dog died. Mm-hmm. You're right back in that depression. Right. And so
great point.
What he talks about a lot is not curing somebody, but helping guys, helping people to walk in those valleys, and deal with and cope with those things while they're in the valleys. And it's a refreshing way of looking at things, because you guys have both touched on that. It's like, you went through all those things, but shit's still going to happen. Brandon says it all the time. He's like, we're going to walk outside these doors after this podcast is over. And for some of us, life's going to hit us right between the eyes.
Yep. Sure.
And you just got to be prepared for that. Right. And part of that preparation is not only realizing that, but also having a group of people around you.
Being a part of a group like this.
Yes. Exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm not just saying building a refuge is your answer, but dude, if you're a part of a group like this,
hey man, it was my answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We've never really said that. What we're doing is not rocket science.
No.
We're developing community is what we're doing.
Yeah, we might be putting a framework around it, right?
Yeah,
just to say, hey, look, this is what it is,
whatever it looks like. But when we had the punk rock farmer on, he was talking about the farming community,
right?
Yeah. And that's his go-to, and the military guys, you guys have your crew that you can go and talk to, and it's finding those commonalities and those things. And
I think it's important to understand, it's okay to do that. I think maybe, and I'll ask you guys, I think just like we, as Erik called out, we asked, Jonathan Lawler, John Lawler, the punk rock farmer, if he was going to speak to a farmer, and he was going to say, hey, what would be your first step? Mm-hmm. And what would you guys say to that? You guys are vets. What would you say if a vet's struggling, man? What's the first step that they can take?
Well, the first step I would say is, who are you? Mm-hmm. You got to ask that first question. Who are you? And if you don't know who you are, then we need to find you. Mm-hmm. That's where you start. You start with who are you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because that's where your purpose really comes into play.
Yeah.
It's about finding that resiliency, and that's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Is walking a resiliency life and being able to have that bounce back. It's an analogy of, when having that conversation with that vet and who you are and all that stuff, what does your bank account look like? And I'm not talking about monetary value. I'm talking about your bank account. Do you have enough in your bank account so when something comes at you, you can withdraw? So that's that analogy type piece when you look at it. And when I'm talking with my clients or I'm talking with another veteran that might be struggling, I ask them, what's your bank account look like? And I make them understand what that means.
Yeah.
And then say, can you withdraw? And if you can't, we need to build that. How do you build it? Gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your gratitude.
I like that.
Yeah.
So,
Tommy, I know we're probably wrapping up here at the end of this, but I want to ask you because you have a young children. You're a young father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's, for younger parents out there today, because there's younger parents, right?
Oh yeah.
What would you tell a dad that's got the heaviness of family and being a dad and being that go-to person and all that? Like, what would you tell them to be a first great step?
Man,
That's a good question, Brandon.
I'll tell you what.
It is.
I'll tell you what. And this might sound so basic. And I remember finding out I was going to be a dad, and the anxiety and all the stress, and I hyped it up, and all of a sudden, when it happens, it's just like, it all, like, you pull one Jenga piece out of, like you said, gratitude, or like, especially with God in the mix and everything that you just, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it happens. And like I said, this might sound so basic, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. And especially having, like, the intention of being a dad, the intention of everything you do is now, not that it's 3 times heavier or whatever, but it's more meaningful because it's not about us. Life is not about us. It's about either your kid or the next person in line, I believe,
Yep.
And there's no time, and there's, life's too short to have an ego. And ego to me stands for edging God out.
Yeah.
And, there's just no time in the world for that. And
Like that.
everything that you do is for your kid. And yes, you work a little harder, not a little bit, you work harder and you'll be more go-getter, but as long as you want it, like, for your kid, it's not for you anymore. Because I used to, before I was a kid, or before I had kids, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta do this, gotta do that. And for all the stuff, it's like God just looking down at me going, okay, keep going. No.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, seriously, community, your family is everything. It doesn't have to be blood. Just people that you love genuinely, that have your back. Family helps so much by either help, just everything. I mean, I could list everything, but yeah, no. So intention. I would say intention of, yes, you're gonna be that, and you might be scared, and you might hype it up all in your brain. Might have give yourself anxiety is practically what you're doing. You know what I mean? Versus just going, okay, like you said, let's build our bank account, whether it's monetary or spiritually, emotionally, in every way you can think about it, to be ready for anything that can happen.
I appreciate it, man.
I think
it's
the
important.
biggest thing too, I think what you're shooting around is like, they don't come with a manual.
No, exactly.
I mean, our parents probably could say the same thing.
Right, yeah.
Wow, we could unpack that too. Coming from what we were just talking about, like who we were, our generation was raised by. But
well, we're hoping, man, in 2024 we'll have an opportunity to do that. I think Clark and I and Erik and team have kind of talked about how we look at 24 in terms of the podcast, and we want to mix in some more topic based roundtables like this where we do talk about that. Like, one topic may just be being a young father. You know what I mean?
This is the first time we've done anything like this, and I love this because there's a lot of stuff being shot back and forth, and I really do love it. It's just a good format.
Well, I know we're coming up on time, and before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to you guys. I thank you, Clark, for what you've done for us. Josh, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you, man, for coming in. We want to hear more from you and learn more about your life. And Tommy, thank you so much for everything you've done for us, man.
Thank you for everything you guys have done.
You
and
then Dustin and Mike, back there behind the soundboard. One of the things that we haven't talked about yet is our website. That Mike has constructed and done a fabulous job with, and we're very fortunate to have that.
And what is that website, Erik?
www.buildingarefuge.org.
The ORG. That's right.
And one of our big partners that's involved in that is Doug Bright.
Yeah, Doug Bright
with Greatest of All Tees, and I'm actually wearing one today.
Yeah, I love it, man.
He puts together these really cool T-shirts, and he does all kinds of stuff. He does around.
And we will have
athletics.
we will have a link on the website.
What
for
episode was he?
For merchandise. What episode? Gosh, I don't know. I'll have to look it up on my
It's a
phone.
recent
you don't
one.
have to
It's
look
a
it up.
recent one.
Yeah.
He's got a great story too.
But you can find all of our website or all of our episodes on our website, thanks to Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you for that call sign. I don't know if that was the steel sign
No, it's
or
the,
the hold
red
sign.
light's blinking.
That was
Oh.
episode 18. Doug Bright.
Doug Bright. Oh, thanks. I thought that was like the the steel sign, but no. Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. Just for those listening, we only can do this with your donations. So if you're so inclined, we would really appreciate it. You can find us on PayPal or Venmo, or if you want to send us the old-fashioned way, a check, we'll accept that as well. You can email us at buildingarefuge@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to figure that out one way or another logistically. So
There's links on the site if you'd like to donate through there.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
thanks,
yeah, for sure on that. And then also just to call out a couple of upcoming events that we're going to have in 2024. We talked a little bit about our Rock and Ride for Hope in May.
Yeah.
It's going to be happening at Harley Davidson of Indianapolis. And then also in September of 2024, it's hard to believe like we're going to call that far out, but September of 2024, we'll be doing our chicken queue again at the Carmel VFW post 100000. Lots of zeros anyways.
Yeah,
03.
10,003.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that. I will not forget that now. 10,003. Yeah. So, but super event that goes out to help bring awareness around veterans, and we have veteran support there as well. So we really appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening in. As always, you'll follow up anyways with some resources around getting help. So we appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah,
Greatly.
thanks, y'all.
We love you guys.
Peace.
Appreciate it.
Clear.
Ed.
Now I found a refuge, someone I can talk to. All hope has been restored. This is my refuge, something to hold on to. It is well within my soul. Jesus built me a refuge, someplace I can run to, a place we now call home.